Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levy, your co-host, Shaq. We're going to be talking UFC Vegas 16, Jack Hermansson versus Marvin Vettori. And Shaq, it's going down this Saturday night in Las Vegas, Nevada, a middleweight showdown. You got the number 5 ranked Jack Hermansson taking on the number 13 ranked Marvin Vettori. And the winner is going to make a statement. They're going to be one step closer to that middleweight title shot.
Yeah, man, we know the type of action my boy Jack the Joker brings. I mean, he's got the best game in the middleweight division, arguably the best ground and pound in MMA. And I mean, the dude's got tricks up his sleeves when it comes to that ground game, man. I mean, he's out here almost tapping out guys like Dr. Ray, and so we know that Jack Hermansson is an elite specialist, a top 5 guy, stamped. And I mean, what an opportunity for Marvin Vettori. I mean, Marvin, I've always felt like he's got all the talent. Really hasn't, doesn't have that signature win on his resume like a Hermansson does. But I mean, I feel like we can't forget he went to it was a unanimous decision in my eyes against Adesanya, but the judges did score it a split decision. And, I mean, he had a good third round. And, I mean, we know Marvin's got a chin. He's a black belt. He's strong. He can wrestle. He trains at Kings. I mean, he's with one of the best camps. So this is a great fight, man. I know Kevin Holland fell out, but, they blessed Kevin Holland with a nice matchup against, the old legend Jacare Souza. So Kevin can't complain. And I feel like this is just as good of a fight, or if not better.
No, this is a great fight, no doubt about it, for a lot of reasons. We're going to get down to this whole card. We're going to do it start to finish. But, man, you mentioned that split decision loss to Adesanya. I feel like to this day, it carries a lot of weight. Like the fact that one judge, and it was actually Chris Lee, I believe, that same judge that's been fucking up all these scorecards.
My boy Chris Lee can't judge a fight right to save his life.
Like, I want to.
Chris Lee was out here giving rounds to Felder. You remember that round that RDA suplexed Felder in the air and slammed him on his head? Chris Lee scored that round for Felder.
I want to see a fight through the lens of Chris Lee. Like, I want to know exactly what this guy is looking at, because it's unlike anything I've ever seen before in all my years watching this sport. So, so let's get down to business, man. Before we do, obviously, got to let the fans know that support for Half the Battle is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Looking for the ultimate stocking stuffers for this holiday season? Look no further, because our sponsors, Manscaped, have the tools to make you win this year's stocking stuffer or white elephant competition. Manscaped is the only brand dedicated to below-the-waist grooming and hygiene products. And great news, they just released their products across Europe, Canada, and Australia. And I know for me personally, man, I've enjoyed the hell out of using these products. I mean, feeling fresh, feeling clean, always ready for a short notice opportunity. A few of their products that are, prime stocking stuffers this season are the Crop Preserver, the ball deodorant. I mean, the name speaks for itself. The Crop Reviver, the ball toner, a spray-on toner that will give your balls a little slice of heaven with their aloe vera and hazel extracts. The Crop Cleanser body wash, a full body wash that you can also use on your hair. The Crop Mop ball wipes. You never know when an opportunity strikes, so you should always be prepared. And also the Foot Duster foot deodorant designed to keep the stankiest feet smelling fresh. Shears 2.0 is a luxury 4-piece nail kit, so they got you covered in every area. You got the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer, which provides proprietary skin-safe technology to get rid of those nasty nose hairs. And let's not forget about the best trimmer for your butt, balls, and body, the Lawn Mower 3.0. This trimmer offers a replaceable ceramic blade with advanced skin-safe technology, which helps reduce grooming accidents. And these formulations are all vegan, cruelty-free, dye-free, sulfate-free, and paraben-free, so you know their products are 100% legit. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the code BATTLE20. That's BATTLE20, all caps. Whether this is for your partner, your dad, your brother, your friend, get them something they will actually use and make sure to get a laugh as well. So get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the code BATTLE20. Be the ballsiest gift giver ever this year with Manscaped. And Shaq, how you been feeling? Now we're a month in, man. How you been feeling about these Manscaped products?
Man, you already know, bro. I swear by these products. I mean, it ain't nothing better than getting that close shave in the shower with the light on. You know what I mean? This holiday season, Best Fight Picks is well groomed, well taken care of, well smelling in all our areas. So, let's go.
Yes, sir. Say less. Now let's get right down to business, Shaq, because first up in the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Luis the Last Samurai Smolka, he's 16-7, and Jose Alberto Teco Quinonez is 8-4. Currently, they got Luis Smolka -140. The comeback on Jose Teco Quinonez is +120. Well, I mean, those that remember, we both picked Teco the first time. And that was before Luis came in weighing in 139 pounds. I know my boy Shaq let us know that he'd been doing those, YouTube eating competitions and the whole bit. And then he misses weight. Not for flyweight, Shaq. He misses weight for bantamweight. So was that a red flag at all? Or do you think it would have been a weight advantage for him in that spot?
Yeah, you had a bet on Teco going into that night just due to the facts that you just mentioned. I mean, I've been seeing him on YouTube eating a bunch of Chick-fil-A and Chinese food and tacos and egg rolls, and I was just like, damn, doesn't Luis have a fight against Casey Kinney? Like, why is he eating? And then the subsequent fight after that, he misses weight and he finds his way out of the fight. Look, I feel like Teco Quinonez can outwork Luis, outmaneuver him out in space. All it comes down to is what happens if Luis Smolka touches this chin. Now, I know that he knocked out Ryan McDonald, but like I said before, Ryan McDonald's a complete can. Ryan McDonald had no business even being signed to the UFC. I mean, he was out here getting dropped by Nebraska bums with losing records. So, that knockout really doesn't hold that much weight in my opinion. And look, yeah, Teco has a shit chin and he kind of did quit his last fight, but I feel like O'Malley would starch, a guy like Smolka as well. I feel like that would be a good fight for him. And Smolka, yeah, he's a tough kid. The grappling, it's probably 50-50, but I just feel like outside of the cage, this dude hasn't been living the right lifestyle, as of late, and Teco, my boy has got his first one, little one on the way. I know he's super, super motivated. And I just feel like, man, as long as he, avoids these big exchanges with Luis, I feel like he can touch him up from the outside, get takedowns. And I do sense the, Luis Smolka resorting back to his old jobber ways, which is missing weight and I feel like he's gonna, not have that same fire in the cage, be tired and look like a slap job out there. So I'm gonna go with Jose Teco Quinonez.
Yeah, look, I'd be more worried for Teco if he was the kind of guy that likes to get into unnecessary scrambles, and which is Luis Smolka's game, and that's just not what Teco does. He's got that Mexican version of the Dominic Cruz style. He's going to feint a lot. He's going to throw a lot of kicks, and then when Smolka's starting to get used to those kicks, that's when Teco's going to level change, mix in takedowns. You already know Luis Smolka can't stuff a takedown. The only worry is the chin of Teco, like we told you many times. The reason that Teco gets wobbled every single fight is because of that regional fight he took against Davi Ramos, which is one of the most brutal knockouts we've ever seen. He had no business in there with a guy 2 weight classes above him. And as a result, there's still lingering effects, man. He gets touched on the chin. He wobbles. Luckily for him, Luis Smolka doesn't have that one-hitter quitter, so I think he should be fine in that respect. So I'm going to go with Teco Quinonez to come out here. Mexican Dominic Cruz, win a decision. Now, next up, in the lightweight division, speaking of Mexico, we got Jose Teco Quinonez, former castmate on The Ultimate Fighter. We got Gabriel Mowgli Benitez. He's 21-8, and he's taking on Justin Jaynes, who's 16-5. Currently, they got Mowgli Benitez -220. The comeback on Justin Jaynes is +180. Now, look, Shaq, I agree that Gabriel should be favored over Justin Jaynes. It's just to this extent is where I kind of draw the line. Because one thing about Justin Jaynes is that, he's got 8 knockouts on his record, and most of them in the first round. And in his 2 UFC fights, he scored knockdowns in the first round in both of those fights. So this guy can crack. It's just that if Mowgli can get past this first round, that's where I think he's going to start to take over. Mowgli's got a devastating body kick. I've already told you guys 1,000 times about how Javier Mendez, the coach of AKA, says that Mowgli is literally the hardest kicker he's ever held pads for, harder than Luke Rockhold, Kane, Khabib, all the guys that train there, DC. So I think it's a situation where that first round is going to be kind of sketchy because Mowgli does have a suspect chin. Jaynes does hit very hard. Jaynes is actually coming in here with a heavy heart. Shout out to him. His dad's going to be in his corner. I know his dad's going through a battle. And, I not to bring up sad shit, but the fights haven't really been going in the favor of guys fighting with heavy hearts. You look at Devin Clark last week. You look at my boy Walt Harrison. All the respect in the world to those guys. I got to tip my cap to them. But, we take our emotions aside when it comes to picking fights. So I think the early going favors Justin Jaynes. But if Gabriel can just get past that first round, he's going to take over the fight. But it's contingent on getting past that first round. So I'll go with Mowgli Benitez via decision.
Yeah, I feel like, honestly, this is a case of, Mowgli's coming off the 2 losses to Youssef and Omar's last fight. But, man, just because he's got a couple losses doesn't mean he's not making growth. And I actually do think Mowgli is growing and getting better. I just think the competition level, I just think these guys are flat out better than him. Sadiq Youssef is a top, and shit, what is he ranked? In my opinion, top 10 or somewhere in there. And then Omar Morales was undefeated at the time, and it was up a weight class at 55s. And I feel like that's a better home for Mowgli. And, this guy, Justin Jaynes, he's got power, but I just don't see, much, depth in his game. I just see a guy that swings, big overhand rights, and he's definitely got power. But, in that Gavin Tucker fight, other than that knockdown, man, I honestly thought he got thoroughly whooped. So, like the significant strikes, man, we're getting, the left kick, and it was against another lefty, Gavin Tucker. So, I kind of see a lot of openings for Mowgli in this fight. It's honestly, I agree with the line. I feel like as long as Mowgli's chin, it stays clear, I feel like he'll be good here. But, I just feel like Justin Jaynes isn't good enough to beat him, in my opinion. I feel like he's a tough dude, but I just see that left kick and that left straight being, and I feel like this is a considerate drop down in competition for him. So, I'm gonna go with Mowgli Benitez, and I'm gonna actually say by finish. So, I think Mowgli Benitez stops Jaynes.
And next up in the featherweight division, we got a matchup between Damon the Leech Jackson. He's 18-3, and Ilia Topuria is 9-0. Currently, they got Ilia Topuria minus 245. The comeback on Damon Jackson is plus 205. So I know we were very impressed with Topuria in his debut. Both cashed on him at underdog odds. Well, now there are no more underdog odds. Now he's the favorite, as he should be. And I mean, listen, Damon Jackson, he beat Mirsad Bektic, but did he beat Mirsad Bektic, or did Mirsad Bektic beat himself? Because, I mean, Mirsad Bektic, everybody knows about the stunts this kid's been pulling his entire career, whether it's the time he got knocked out by Chaz Skelly, but the rules back then, it was actually, they deducted a point. They called it an illegal knee, but in today's UFC, that's a second-round TKO. I know you remember when Darren Elkins actually knocked him out, when Josh Emmett dropped him with a jab, the Dan Ige stunt, and now he followed that up with a stunt against Damon Jackson, a fight he was completely dominating.
Don't forget, when my boy Josh Emmett put him on that canvas.
With a jab. And listen, Damon Jackson, I respect him. He's opportunistic. He's experienced. He fought in the UFC back in the day, PFL, LFA. He's been there. He's done that. Black belt. I got a lot of respect for him. I just think that this kid Topuria, he's the real deal, man. These guys coming out of Georgia can fight. I mean, this kid can mix in the takedowns. And also, now he can knock people out, too. The thing I like about him is that he was this undefeated kid on the regional scene. His last fight before his UFC debut, he fought a 6'1" opponent. He got dropped with a head kick, and right then and there, I mean, he could have covered up and let the ref intervene. No one would have held it against him. Hey, first L time. Instead, he gets up, and then he knocks the guy out, comes in there into his UFC debut on short notice, his first time ever going the distance, and he dismantled Youssef Zalal. Now he's got a full training camp. I think as long as he doesn't get caught, with something along the way, he's going to win this whole fight. I mean, the only way Jackson wins is some kind of comeback win, and I don't see that happening. So I'm going with Ilia Topuria to win. And honestly, he can do the takedown route, but if he wants to test his stand-up, I think he could test his stand-up here too. So I'm going with Ilia Topuria to get it done.
I'm very high on Ilia, man. How old is he? 24, 3, something like that. In that range. Very experienced. And look, man. To be honest, I actually thought Damon Jackson had a lot more losses than he actually did. He's got a good record, 18-3. But man, I just see him being a journeyman. Just a good grappler. But I mean, Mirsad Bektik out grappled him. Quite clearly those first 2 rounds. But Mirsad does what Mirsad does, and that's overwork himself and do too many mat returns and gas himself out, and transitioning from position to position for no reason. I remember after the first round of that fight, I tweeted, Mirsad loves making things way harder than they need to be. Like he could just stand with this dude and knock him out, but like he's scared to get hit. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I think Jackson's tough. And look, he might be here for 3 rounds. He's a tough dude, but I just feel like Topuria, man, he's actually training in Miami now. At MMA Masters. That's where Miguel Baeza and Covington and who else trains there, man? Rafael Alves from Contender Series. Sanchez, he's actually fighting Jared Gordon here in a little bit. So, I feel like that's an up and coming gym. And I feel like Topuria, he's a good wrestler, good power in his hands, took out Youssef Zalal, who was on quite the streak there. And, that third round, it showed his heart because, he was a little fatigued. He took that fight on less than a week notice, if I'm not mistaken. And, he had to tough that one out in the last round. Youssef is a guy who's super rangy, throws a lot, good knees up the middle, things of that such. So, I feel like that was a very impressive win. I was very impressed with both guys. So yeah, I feel like this fight is for Ilia to take, man. No, all respect to Damon Jackson, very tough, very experienced, good record, but there's just not anything necessarily he's good at. He's just good at against these regional up and comers like Levi Moles and these other guys. He can out experience them and break them in the late rounds. But against these talented really, in my opinion, future UFC staples, I think he's going to struggle. So I got Topuria.
Now, next up in the flyweight division, we got a showdown between Jimmy the Brick Flick, who's 15-5, and Cody Durden, who's 11-2-1. Currently, they got Jimmy Flick minus 165. The comeback on Cody Durden is plus 145. So, man, this is a hell of a fight. Obviously, Jimmy Flick, the transition master. He's a great scrambler. He's welcoming Cody back to the flyweight division. Cody took on Chris Gutierrez on a week short notice, went to a draw with him. Now he's dropping to flyweight with the help of Trifecta, the UFC nutrition system. So, what do you think, man? This is gonna be an exciting fight.
Yeah, Flick looked really good on the Contender Series against that dude. I forget his name, but he looked really good. Nate Smith, ran him through the series, and look, Flick's gonna do that to some guys, and that guy was undefeated. But if you actually look at his record, he had a lengthy amateur career, and he got submitted, quite a bit of times. Durden's, he's been submitted as well, and I might be a little biased. Durden is the homie, but I was sitting in Team Durden, the Team Durden section the night he fought Scoggins down there in Gwinnett Arena, you know what I'm saying? And I think we all knew that night that him and Scoggins would, be in the big show, at some point. And, it was good to see them both in there. And look, man, Durden's leveled up these last 2 fights, man. These last 2 fights, I feel like he's, going into that John Sweeney fight in the NFC, and most people thought it was a 50-50 fight. It could be, back and forth. I mean, Sweeney's got some good wins. And, Cody went out there and dominated him like it was nothing. I mean, John Sweeney, I heard he got concussed so bad he was trying to fight Cody afterwards or something like that. So, and then the fight with Gutierrez, big underdog. We saw what Gutierrez was doing to guys like De Freitas and, Morales, going out there, breaking their legs with the calf kicks. And, we know his only loss prior to that was Ione. So, and he beat Valiev. And the fact that he went out there like that, man, I was like impressed. I was like, damn, man, Cody's been putting in work down there ATT. I mean, this dude, he's been training with Douglas and Diego his whole career, and I feel like, finally, man, this dude, he sized up a little bit, and he's got good movement, and I feel like he's a lot more athletic out in space than Jimmy Flick. I feel like Flick, honestly, look, I'm not saying he's bad, overrated, but I'm just saying I think that dude he fought on Contender Series is a little green. I feel like he's not as good as Cody Durden, just flat out. I just feel like Cody Durden is just more experienced, a way better wrestler, a two-time Georgia State champion. And I know Flick's got the Oklahoma wrestling, which we know the type of the wrestlers coming out of Oklahoma. I mean, it's a storied list, but man, I feel like, honestly, man, if Cody stays on the feet, he can outstrike Flick. Flick doesn't move his feet. He's stiff. He's been rocked several times in his career. I know most of that's at 135 to guys like Gutierrez who, submitted him, Ray Rodriguez, Levi Moles, all those dudes, knocked him out. So we know the weakness in his game. Cody's got to stay upright and touch his chin. And I feel like he's got good, black belts at his access to train with. And I know Flick's one of these, jiu-jitsu competition guys, and he's super decorated. But, man, I have a feeling that he's kind of being overrated coming into this fight, man, a little bit, just based off that last performance where, he was running the arm bars, the triangles, the Kimuras against that guy. But, man, to go up a weight class on a week short notice against a guy like Gutierrez is a big sign to me, and I feel like there is value on Durden, man. And look, if he gets submitted, he got submitted, because I mean, look, I've seen Flick hit the Von Flick, the Flickatine, and all these other submissions that he likes to do, but they're all quick, man. They're like first round, like just boom, one takedown. Boom, he gets it. You know what I'm saying? In a lot of his fights, and I feel like if that doesn't, manifest, like, man, Cody can make this gritty, man. I feel like Gutierrez. I mean, you saw what he was doing. I mean, dudes were flopping to the canvas off his calf kicks, man. My boy Cody took those no problem. So I'm gonna take Cody Durden here in the upset.
Yeah, I mean, look, Jimmy, the Brick Flick, the guy is basically. He's a transition master. He's an opportunistic submission artist. And I've seen him, he can literally attack chokes and arm locks from anywhere. He can chain arm bars to omoplatas to triangles, the whole bit. He's very exciting to watch, and I think he's going to have a lot of fight of the nights in the UFC. I feel like Flick versus Smolka would be, or Flick versus Tim Elliott. Like, those are the kind of fights I want to see with a guy like Jimmy the Brick Flick, just, going back and forth scrambles until he submits the guy. Like, I love that kind of stuff. But the reality here is he's been knocked out 4 times in his career, and his stand-up is improving. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of him. I remember when he defeated Johnny Bedford on the regional scene. That was a huge upset at the time. Even had him on half the battle. So listen, I'm a Jimmy the Brick Flick fan. It's just that, Cody Durden's the best Fight Pick sponsored athlete for a reason. And this is a guy in Durden, like you mentioned, state champion wrestler. And the way he's been leveling up, like you said, I thought that John Sweeney fight could have gone either way. He goes in there, smashes him in the first 2 minutes. And then the Gutierrez fight, I mean, I was like, dude, this is the hardest kicker in the division besides Marlon Moraes. I mean, you saw what happened when Vince Morales was in there with Chris Gutierrez, a couple leg kicks, and the guy only tweeted recently that now he can walk again. You know what I mean? And Cody Durden's been doing his thing. So Cody, for this camp, look, he could have stayed in Atlanta and did it with Douglas and Diego Lima and all these guys. He's got great training here. He actually said he wanted to go to Florida to train with the smaller guys. So now he's been in there with Pantoja, with Kyoji Horiguchi, with Tony Gravely, with Juan Puerta. And he said, if Pantoja and Kyoji Horiguchi can't tap me out, Jimmy Flick is not going to tap me out. So, listen, I think that if Cody comes out here and wants to, prove for his ego that he can scramble with a guy like Jimmy Flick, well, then I think there's a chance that Flick submits him. But I know Cody's a smart guy, and I think this is going to be a fight where Cody actually showcases his stand-up, keeps it standing, lights him up with calf kicks, goes upstairs, gets the finish, hands Jimmy the Brick Flick his 5th knockout loss. Actually, a lot of people don't know, but Cody's actually got some pro boxing and pro kickboxing experience. He actually had a night where he had a...
Flick, by the way, speaking of that, Flick actually has a boxing fights on Fight Pass, or...
Does he? I didn't know that. That's interesting. Oh, I'm glad he does, because he's got to work on that aspect of his game. But Cody Durden actually had one night where he had a boxing match, a kickboxing match, and an MMA fight all in one night. He won 10K. I think Justin Gaethje was hosting the event or some shit. But anyways, Cody's a badass. I think he comes out here. I think he knocks out Jimmy the Brick Flick. I'm going with Cody Durden here. Now, next up in the lightweight division, we got handsome Matt Wiman. He's 16-9, and Jordan Leavitt is 7-0. Currently, they got Jordan Leavitt minus 400. The comeback on Matt Wiman is plus 325. So we saw with Selecki, who was a black belt, that he just ran Matt Wiman through the ringer. It was easy work, and we bet on Selecki. We bet on Luis Pena. I like this kid Leavitt. He's not a black belt though, like Selecki. He's a purple belt. He kind of has like a watered down version, and I say watered down with all due respect, of like the Ryan Hall style. And the reason I say watered down is because he's a purple belt. He's a purple belt. He's not a black belt quite yet. But what he tries to do is he gets guys to the mat, and he's pretty fucking dominant there. So do you think that this 7-0 kid is going to come out here and also dominate the pretty much washed up Matt Wiman, or is this one where Wiman can finally get back on track?
This is an interesting fight for me because, the Leavitt kid, the jiu-jitsu skill is definitely there, and he's going to, be on his way to being a black belt and all that good stuff. Beat, my boy Bavon's little bro, Lavon Lewis. And for y'all don't know, my boy Lavon's definitely a lot better than his brother. But I feel like, man, like, look, Wiman shouldn't be fighting, but a part of me feels like, if he's been training this whole time, like maybe he can, get into a little better groove of things. Not saying that he's gonna win, because I'm not gonna pick him to win, but I'm saying, like, this dude's a vet, man, and it's hard to submit him, bro. Like fucking like Selecki. I mean, we know the type of jiu-jitsu guy he is, and he couldn't submit him. Pena, I was sitting there live. I was like, God, like shit, like we're under his neck. We got him in darces and all type of shit, and we can't. He won't tap. Wiman's a vet. I remember when he tapped out Paul Sass back in the day. He knows all those tricks to survive the submissions. But other than that, man, his takedown defense is complete garbage. He's old. Leavitt should win this fight, man. He's the younger guy, but I don't know if Leavitt likes getting hit, and man, he's kind of weird, man. But I think he should win this fight with the takedowns and top control. But look, there were some moments in that third round against Selecki. Not saying that Selecki was in trouble or anything, but against like you're saying, the watered down lesser version of Selecki, against another guy that might not like getting hit in the face, maybe Jordan Leavitt, might start ankle diving all over the place, man. But who knows? So I got Leavitt, but I'll say by 30-26.
Yeah, look, I got Leavitt. I'm just not confident enough to lay minus 400 on it. I felt like Selecki deserved minus 400 in that spot, but Leavitt, he should win this. And I enjoyed watching him on Contender Series. I even picked him to win. He was one of my prospects to watch. I like his jiu-jitsu game. I feel like he's getting better every fight. He's a funny guy. He does, a full split after he wins fights. He's got an interesting personality. And the thing with Wiman, he's just not showing me too many signs of life. Like, what he does show me is he can survive. He's a good survivor. But
he'll take that ass whooping. He'll take that ass whooping up front.
But aside from like surviving, he squares his stance standing. He doesn't really throw with any power. He doesn't really attack with anything. So I just got to go with Jordan Leavitt by default. But yeah, I'm not confident at the betting window. Now, next up in the heavyweight division, we got a baby delivery session between Gian Villante, who's 17-12, and Jay Collier, who's 11-5. Currently, they got Gian Villante minus 200. The comeback on Jay Collier is plus 170. So, Shaq, I just got to know, what time is the baby due, and who's the father?
Yeah, man, this is I've been looking forward to this fight for a long time. We got the two fat guys, Collier and and postpartum Villante. And look, I'm gonna go ahead and say my pick, which is gonna be Gian Villante to come out here and get back on track. Because I mean, look, let's just be honest here. Jay Collier in that time off, he had his head in a tub of ice cream. I mean, and this being stopped for that 15-piece. You know what I'm saying? That dude put on like what? How much weight? Like maybe 100 pounds more.
It was 265
in the time. He was an 85er when he left, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my God. So Villante, look, he pulled a stun of stunts. I mean, even though he was down on the cards, in my opinion, I mean, at least he was, in range to beat Maurice Green, who I feel like would stop Jay Collier. So, it was like at least he had some success, dropped him. I mean, but it's just like he got so gassed that that Maurice Green was able to tap him out with that bullshit choke from bottom. But I'll take Gian Villante. But I can't wait to see these two big boys in there slugging. I actually did see Villante. He actually looks like he's training. So I see why him and Weidman down there. Weidman flew out to New York to make sure his punching bag was in shape for this for this fight. So and as where I think we all know that Jay Collier ain't training a goddamn thing. He's probably for Christ's sake probably I don't know, probably eating a fucking whole pizza. I don't know.
If Jay Collier shows up 20 pounds lighter, would your opinion of this fight change?
Well, yeah, because then it'll be in range for Villante to pull a stunt. I mean, he's pulled many stunts before. He lost. Remember that Tom Lawler stunt he pulled where he was a big favorite, and he kept walking into a right hook, and it's like, John, stop. John, no, John, wait. And then all of a sudden he's asleep on the canvas, and you're like, oh my God, and then they fight with Patrick Cummins, where he lost. But Patrick Cummins does have a win over the current UFC light heavyweight champ, so
it's just facts.
I mean, he does.
I mean, Gian Villante is better than Jake Collier, the fat Jake Collier. If somehow on Friday on the scales,
we ain't coming no 20 pounds lighter.
if he shows up in somewhat a shape, then he's a live underdog. If not, Gian Villante can leg kick him and probably come out here and win. It's just that both these guys looked horrendous their last fights. I mean, when I saw both of them on the scales their last fights, I ran to the betting window to lay the chalk on their opponents, like just out of principle, and it came through. So definitely going to be paying attention to the weigh-in. But if both guys show up 265 pounds and look awful, I'll pick Villante just because he actually dropped someone in his awful state. But if Collier, has lost 20, 30 pounds, if he comes out here, looking reinvented, I'll pick him. But I'm gonna go with Gian Villante to get this done. Now,
real
next
quick,
up,
who you got between Jake Collier and Davison?
the last Jay Collier.
Yeah,
I got Davis and Dice Dugea Figueiredo. I got Jay Collier over Demetrius though. But
TJ would probably beat him too.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kidding. So next up in the featherweight division, we got a matchup between Movsar Evloev, he's 13-0, and Nate the Train Landwehr is 14-3. Currently, they got Movsar Evloev minus 630. The comeback on Nate Landwehr is plus 465. So these guys obviously have a long history together. For those that don't know, Nate Landwehr, he was the champ at M1 over in Russia. So he was this American going to Russia, beating Russians. At first, they were like, who's this fucking American beating our people? But he kept winning, and then he won the belt over there, and then they treated him like one of their own. And Evloev was always the poster boy at M1, and for whatever reason, they never ended up fighting. So they always had this big rivalry, and now they finally meet, and I think it should be a good fight. Look, I think Movsar Evloev is slightly ahead of Nate Landwehr, But I kind of disagree with his minus 630. I was thinking minus 230, minus 300 at most. I think Movsar is one of the brightest prospects in the featherweight division, and I think Nate Landwehr is no slouch either. So I definitely favor Evloev, just not to this extent. I mean, minus 630 to minus 700, you better knock him out in the first 30 seconds. You better knock him down multiple times and kill the guy. And I just don't see that happening. I see Evloev kind of winning a clear decision, but I think Landwehr will have his moments in the fight. So I'm going to go with Evloev, but at the betting window, it's a dog or pass situation.
Yeah, man, I actually agree. I'm going to go ahead and say I think Movsar Evloev might be, when we're talking about, non-top 20 guys, top 25 guys, I think he might be the number one prospect at 145. I mean, just look at his career. He had the I forget who the debut was against, the Chinese, Korean guy. But then,
Choi.
after that he fought Choi. But after that he fought Enrique Barzola, man, who, has wins over guys like Mowgli Benitez and is super experienced. And, I feel like he got super tested in the cardio aspect in that third round, man. I feel like Movsar's boxing leveled up prior to that fight, I had a hesitation just because I was like, man, I don't know if his hands are there yet. I know the transitions, the grappling, and all that stuff. I mean, there was a reason why I called this kid Little Khabib when I first saw him on the regional scene. And man, and then the fight after that against Grundy, I mean, he completely dismantled Mike Grundy. And all respect to Nate Landwehr, but Nate Landwehr just strikes me as a kind of a club fighter. I feel like he takes a lot of damage. I mean, like if Darren Elkins is blooding you up like that and taking you down like that, and look, Darren Elkins might have a couple fights left in him. Darren Elkins, like if Movsar fought Darren Elkins, oh my God, like I would hate to see that sight. Like I'm telling you, bro, I think Nate Landwehr, and I noticed that he's backpedaling a little bit, as of recently going, but I really think he barked up the wrong tree with Movsar. And look, Movsar used to be in the cage when they used to raise Nate Landwehr's hand, after he would beat these Russians, because Movsar is tied in with the politicians and all the promotion people. So yeah, he is very familiar with Nate Landwehr, but I mean, the grappling is going to be too much. I mean, you've seen guys like Herbert Burns and even some of those Russians he fought take him down, but he was able to get better in the third. But these guys ain't even in Movsar's breath, man. I feel like Movsar's a special talent at 145 pounds, and I think if it goes to decision, I'm thinking there's going to be 10-8 rounds. I don't think the boxing, man, is getting so much better. I mean, you saw Mike Grundy was out there huffing and puffing and ankle diving, and that guy's got way back. I think Mike Grundy is actually underrated, man. I feel like, people shouldn't lose steam of Grundy because of that fight. He's actually fighting Nick Lentz. It got announced recently, but I feel like Mike Grundy's blast double in that fight. My God, bro. I was like, who said these Brits can't wrestle, man? Because fucking Movsar with those shots, man, I was super impressed. But Movsar is just too talented. The scrambling ability, the get up game. Nate Landwehr doesn't have an answer for anything, man. So I'm gonna go with Movsar Everly. I'll say by 30, 25, 6, somewhere, something like that.
Now, next up in the light heavyweight division, we got a matchup between Roman Dolidze, he's 7-0, and Gian Allan is 14-5. Currently, they got Roman Dolidze minus 190. The comeback on Gian Allan is plus 165. This is going to be a banger while it lasts, man. This is going to be one of the most exciting fights on the card. Obviously, you got the undefeated Georgian Roman Dolidze came in there, knocked out Kadis Ibragimov, and it's easy to write that win off because everybody beats Kadis, but no one's ran through Kadis the way he did. Like, Dawoon Jung had to weather a storm. Danilo Marquez was this back-and-forth fight. Ed Herman lost the first round. Like, Dolidze just absolutely mopped the floor with the guy. And then with Gian Allan, I know he lost to Mamouche, and that's alarming. That's embarrassing, but he came back in that UFC debut. He beat Mike Rodriguez. He definitely won that fight. He also tested positive after that fight. So I'm curious, is he going to be one of these guys coming in here with the Eric Silva love handles or not? Because he's still a young guy. He's only 26, 27. So maybe it was a contaminated supplement. I mean, he's from Brazil. It wasn't no contaminated supplement. But the bottom line is that he might still be coming out here showing some life. So what I think kind of happens here is that on the feet, Allan's kind of got that shoot-to-box style. He kicks hard. He punches hard. He's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Dolidze, a lot of people don't know this because he knocks everybody out that he fights, but he's actually a ADCC grappling champion. He even grappled against Nikita Krylov and submitted him in the first round with a heel hook. I mean, in the first minute with a heel hook. So this guy Dolidze can tap people out too. I think he might just kind of be the tougher guy here, and I'm going to pick Dolidze here. The thing I'm most worried about is the part that I'm not sure about. Like, I don't know what happens if Allan tries to shoot takedowns on Dolidze. Like, is Dolidze going to stuff, or is Dolidze so confident in his ground game that he accepts the takedowns and then tries to play off his back? Because if you actually watch his first two pro fights, I mean, he just jumped, he pulled guard and went straight to heel hooks, and they were beautiful. They were beautifully executed heel hooks. It's just at the UFC level, I'm not sure how much that stuff's going to work. So I think Dolidze gets past this test, but we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, I like what I saw. That knee landed on Cadiz was super nice. I mean, Cadiz was out there seeing stars. I mean, Cadiz didn't know where he was. But, John Allan, he did test positive in that fight with Mike Rodriguez, but he took it to Rodriguez, man. It was very impressive. I mean, he bullied, straight up punked him out and took it to him, had the takedowns, and, him testing positive. Just look at his corner man in that fight, dude. He's got a corner man. It's actually it's actually Jennifer Maya's husband. Jennifer Maya was also in his corner in that Mike Rodriguez fight. Her and this guy. I mean, and Jennifer Maya's also tested positive in the past too, but they got the short suspensions. But
I thought you were gonna say they got the masking agents.
Well, yeah, obviously not. But the dude, like, let's look at the corner man, dude. The dude's like fucking, I mean, jacked. Like, so I was like, oh, no wonder he tested positive for steroids. But yeah, he's got that shoot buck style. He's got a good ground game. He had the Mamouche fight. But man, I honestly thought it was a case of, I don't know how Mamouche stayed standing. It was one of those cases where you like, you get sad, but yeah, it was a big fatal mistake. But man, he hit himself. I don't want to say I was impressed, but I was like, he's well rounded. I mean, young. Maybe he's better than we thought. So but Dolidze, he's undefeated. Do I think the competition level has necessarily been the best? No, but at the same time, man, I do see some skills, some striking skills, like you said. He's got some grappling skills as well. I feel like it could be a tough fight, but I just have a feeling Dolidze, the Georgian warrior, is going to come through in this fight. I do feel like it could be close, a war, maybe a fight of the night-ish type of back and forth light heavyweight guy, because John Allan and them, they are coming with that shoot box style coming to strike. So we'll see, but I'll take Dolidze by a close decision.
And next up in the flyweight division, we got a matchup between Taila Santos, she's 16-1, and Montana De La Rosa is 11-6. Currently, they got Taila Santos -210. The comeback on Montana De La Rosa is +175. I feel like this fight has absolutely nothing to do with Montana De La Rosa whatsoever. I mean, the opponent doesn't even matter. This is all about Taila Santos. I mean, Taila, like, she lost to Mara Romero Barella, and it wasn't even about what Mara Romero did right. It was more about what Taila did wrong. Taila just simply didn't fight that night.
Mean, I was looking at the TV, just literally like what
can
does
we
this
throw a
do?
punch?
Throw.
It was unreal. So it's like, if she's got her head on straight, I mean, she's got Montana outclassed everywhere the fight goes. It's just, if she wakes up on Saturday morning and doesn't feel like being there, then Montana might be a live dog. Montana's got decent back takes. She's experienced, but this has nothing to do with Montana whatsoever. You remember that fight between Tom Breeze and KB Bueller, how that fight had absolutely nothing to do with KB Bueller. It's just about where's Tom Breeze at. same situation here. If Taila Santos shows up on Saturday night, she's winning this fight, and that's the bottom line. She's better everywhere. So show up and you win. So if anybody's got some inside info on Taila's mental state, let us know. But if she wants to be there, she's gonna shine. So I got Taila.
Yeah, De La Rosa, I actually did think her stand-up in the last fight looked, at least there were some new weapons there. She was kind of, added some distance, strikes in her game, which I didn't see in the past. The thing with Montana, man, she don't like getting hit. I mean, and she bleeds. Like, her nose will get busted, man. I mean, the Nico Montano fight, I saw her nose was completely covered in blood. I mean, pouring out. The Andrea Lee fight, I was there live. Her nose got broken, oozing blood. And then the last fight, man, I mean, props to her. I do think there's a chance she, even though in the loss, she learned a lot. I mean, VV, man, looked really good in that fight, with the movement and the power and the clinch and the jiu-jitsu and all that. So, I didn't really expect Montana to win that fight. So I don't want to necessarily look too down on her. But yeah, Taila Santos, I mean, the McCann fight, I was like, well, where the fuck was this at the last fight? You know what I'm saying? It was just a complete different demeanor, completely different person. It kind of reminded me of, not saying trying to compare these two people, but like it just seemed like two different people. You remember like when Lauren Murphy's prior fights to Mary Barella, and it was like, in the first round in the Mary Barella fight, I was like, oh shit, this might be a completely different chick. And I feel like that's kind of how I felt with that fight. I mean, instantly we could tell, shit, Meatball, she might be in trouble here, I mean, Taila was out there hitting double legs, in the clinch with the plum, looking like a little GDR, I'll say how out there, like in tune and let Montana press her against the fence, like how she did against Mary Barella. I feel like she's going to touch Montana up, break that nose, bust that nose up, and win this decision. So, yeah, I agree. I feel like Taila Santos is the more talented one, and she should get this win.
Co-main event of the evening in the light heavyweight division. We got a matchup between Ovince St. Preux, OSP. He's 25-14, and Jamahal Sweet Dreams Hill is 8-0. Currently, they got Jamahal Hill -165. The comeback on Ovince St. Preux is +145. This is a hell of a fight, man. Obviously, OSP. He's been a staple of the light heavyweight division for a long time. I'm a huge fan of OSP. I mean, he's got the second most submissions in light heavyweight history. Had the most until my boy Glover just submitted Thiago Santos. So now he's got the second most, tied up there with Misha Serkunov, with John Jones. I said Misha Serkunov, who, by the way, turned down this fight with Jamahal Hill. So now OSP is taking it. And what can I say? I got nothing but good things.
I mean, who would you rather fight, Jamahal Hill or Ryan Spann?
Ryan Spann turned on a fight with Jamahal Hill too. He said, I'll meet you at the top. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, Ryan, cut.
Who would you rather fight? Undefeated Jamahal Hill or Chinny Johnny Walker?
Yeah. So, I completely understand where he's coming from. So, yeah, listen, I think there's a situation where Jamahal Hill, despite being a slight favorite, I think he's really underrated, man. I feel like people don't quite appreciate how good this guy is, the kind of potential he has. Because, like, when you look at all the light heavyweight prospects and the ones that have lost, whether it's Rakic, Reyes, Jimmy the Brute Crute, Michal Oleksiejczuk, Alonzo Menefield, I feel like Jamahal Hill actually brings something completely different to the table because, yeah, look, he can knock people out in the first round like you saw in that last fight against Klidson Abreu, but the big question with these big boys is what happens when fights go the 3-round distance, and Jamahal Hill has the output and the volume of a bantamweight, and what I mean by that is he can fight 15 minutes and land over 100 strikes in those 15 minutes. He threw 230 strikes against Darko in that debut, and people only talk about how he got taken down 6 times. Well, how about the fact that he got up 6 times? I mean, he was never held down at any point, and actually he's got junior college All-American Brett Martin working with him, privately on his wrestling. So that's why his get-up game is so damn good. But when it comes to the stand-up, this kid Jamahal Hill, not only does he have serious output, he mixes up his strikes nicely, whether it's the jab, whether it's the straight left, whether it's the body shots, the kicks. They can go upstairs, they can go to the body, they can go to the legs, his knees. I think that this is actually one of the brightest prospects in the light heavyweight division. And to take it a step further, because when I talked about, Jimmy Crute, I just always thought he was a very exciting guy. Or when I talked about Rakic or Reyes, I always said, hey, they could be top 10 guys. I actually think Jamahal Hill's got top 5 potential. I think one day he can be a top 5 guy. It's just now you got to get past the ultimate gatekeeper in OSP, who's a guy we got tremendous respect for, another dangerous southpaw. He can take people down, he can knock people out. It's just that you know who OSP is training with for this fight, Shaq? He's here in Atlanta with Manu Neto, and guess who his main sparring partner is for this fight? Douglas Usher. Now, Douglas Usher is the perfect sparring partner for Michal Oleksiejczuk. He's a shorter southpaw. He's 6 feet tall. He's a southpaw. Perfect sparring partner for Michal Oleksiejczuk. Douglas Usher is not the perfect sparring partner to take on Jamahal Hill, who's a 6'4" light heavyweight with an 80-inch reach. So I think that Saturday night is going to be Jamahal Hill's coming out party. I think he's going to take Ovince to a place he likes to call Touch 'em Up University. And I think he comes out here and I think he knocks out Ovince St. Preux. And if he doesn't get the knockout, I think it kind of looks like the Dominic Reyes fight where he just triples him up on volume. I think the output and the endurance of a guy like Jamahal Hill is just on another level. And I think he's the light heavyweight prospect that we need to look out for. So I'm going Jamahal Sweet Dreams Hill to get it done, man.
Yeah, man. Hill is very talented, 6'4", light heavyweight. The shots are super, sharp with the straight left, the teeps. I mean, he's constantly throwing these teeps, these front kicks, these, feelers, right hooks, jabs. I mean, he's very active. Like you said, the volume is definitely there. Granted, there's 2 opponents. Kind of, suck, but I mean, he took care of them, with like how he should, and he only had 7-8 fights, and this, like you said, this fight reminds me a lot of the Reyes fight, because at the time when Reyes and him fought, I think Reyes maybe had 8 fights or 9 fights, and and Reyes went out there, and I mean, kind of similar thing, jabs, left kicks, lots of volume, and OSP fights with his hands down and his chin up in the air, and we know what happens when OSP starts to get in that orthodox stance. That chin starts coming sky high. And his last win was nice and all, but I think Alonzo Menifield's a complete fraud at this point. So I feel like and his fight before that was even the McCall fight in which he won. I mean, McCall showed up with Villante belly, and honestly, it was dropping him in the first round, touching him, but he got too carried away, didn't manage his cardio. From what I've seen with Jamahal Hill, the dude fights very smart. He's definitely got a plan. Yeah, Darko took him down 6 times, and that's really what this fight comes down to, in my opinion. What happens, if Ovince gets on top of you? But at the same time, when OSP gets on top of Krylov, I know Krylov on paper is a more decorated grappler than Jamahal Hill. But I mean, Ovince really wasn't holding his top position that much, and guys were getting back up. And Jamahal Hill does have that ground game. And every thing I see on Instagram, man, with this dude is I've been seeing him on the mat training. So I think I'm not gonna say he's a future top 5 guy and all this, because I do think maybe somebody a little higher up could give him a little trouble, but in this particular, we've seen guys like Ilir Latifi come out here and touch that chin and wobble him. We've seen McCall, even though in a loss, wobble him. Ben Rothwell, was out here, and that's, Ben Rothwell without it, and that's Ben Rothwell without his steroids, Dan. That's a low estrogen Ben Rothwell. You know what I'm saying? Imagine what Ben would have done if he was on that juice. You know what I'm saying? So I think. I like OSP, but he leaves his chin too much up in the air. And if he cannot do something with that initial first takedown, as if unless Jamahal Hill, grabs that guillotine or something like that. I agree, man. I feel like Hill's gonna run away with this decision with the volume, or get this knockout. I mean, he stays very disciplined in that southpaw attack, and I think he's gonna get the win here. And a lot of people are like, this guy's only got 8-9 fights. Like, how is OSP underdog to this guy, man? But like we said, he's lost to 8-0 guys before. So, I got Jamahal Hill.
I mean, this isn't, 6 foot tall Alonzo Menafield or 5'10" Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. This is a 6'4" guy with an 80-inch reach.
Alonzo Menafield's a complete. What really fucked up is him knocking out Paul Craig. Because honestly, if you watch that fight, Paul Craig was touching Buddy up, and he threw one extra spin and fucking I was like, Paul, wait, don't do that. And then he spun and he got KO'd. So
that's how it goes sometimes.
In a rematch, I got Paul though.
Paul was doing some sad things to the legend last week.
Oh man, that got ugly. I was like, Shogun, no. Shogun, no.
Shogun, wait, Shogun, please. I definitely shed a tear there. But main event of the evening in the middleweight division, we got a matchup between Jack the Joker Hermansson, he's 21-5, and Marvin the Italian Dream Vettori is 15-3. Currently, they got Marvin Vettori minus 140. The comeback on Jack Hermansson is plus 120. So, historically speaking, the guys that give Jack Hermansson the most problems are very athletic knockout artists. And if you look at Marvin Vettori, if you examine his record, he's knocked out 2 people before. You want to know who they are? The 2 people Vettori has knocked out, one of them has 10 knockout losses, and the other one has a 4-12 pro record. So do you think that Vettori can come out here and add Hermansson as his 3rd knockout win, or is this one where Jack can take?
Man, this is a great matchup, man, because like I said, I've been following. I mean, both these guys fought on the same night in Venator FC. Remember that night when Paul Harris fought Mac and Hermansson was on the card, Vettori was on the card. I mean, so they go way back, and they got signed around the same time. And man, I like Jack Hermansson. And his last fight against Kelvin, he definitely had a nice leg lock there, and his ground, like I said at the beginning of the show, the ground game is it's legit, man. And Marvin Vettori is a black belt. I see this guy at Dariush's garage training in the jiu-jitsu all the time, so we know what jiu-jitsu skills he's got as well. And look, I know Marvin, he is a slight chalk here, and it's tough with him in that spot because he doesn't really have signature wins on his resume. He kind of was on that USADA suspension, came back, but man, I kind of predicted that Marvin was about to go on a little run. Like while he was on that suspension, I was like, this is going to be good for Vettori. He's going to, clear his head a little bit. He's going to, because, him and Adesanya and all that, Adesanya played with his head. Adesanya got in his, how Adesanya gets in these dudes' heads, man. I mean, fucking he ruins them before the fight, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like he was going to come back after that break and start to creep into these rankings, and that's exactly what he's done. And look, Hermansson, I'm not going to say he's a one-trick pony because he can strike, he can move, he does have good low kicks. But, man, I just have a gut feeling that if Marvin Vettori continues to make improvements, continues to do the things, he's training at Churchill Boxing now. Man, I know Andrew Sanchez ain't all that, but, man, the hands he displayed in that fight, man, I feel like it's a sign to show what's coming with this guy, man. I really feel like he has a chance to be one of the, at least a upper echelon 185er. I'm not going to say future title challenger or none of that, but I just have a feeling that Jack Hermansson, although I think he's solid, I just don't view him as a real threat to the title. Or I'm not saying that Vettori is either, but I just feel like Hermansson has like a ceiling on his potential. If saying. Like, I just feel like in certain matchups, like, I mean, we saw what happened to Cannonier. Like, I just feel like, not saying that Vettori has this knockout power, but I feel like Vettori has his cardio has gotten a lot better. You know, I mentioned one of these things when Lauren Murphy fight. He's been this doctor that he has. His name's like Doctor. Fucking some dude from Italy, man. But like the way Marvin's body is like fucking bro, like Marvin's a fucking machine. And I know he doesn't have those signature wins, but man, I actually think he's gonna come out here and stuff these clinches attempts in these early ones, but I just feel like Marvin's so strong that it's going to drain him. And not when they get back in space, I just feel like Marvin's going to pick him apart with the jab, the straight left, and just kind of bully Jack a little bit, man. And look, I'm not saying there's value on either side, and I get it. Jack Hermansson, dog money, he's the more proven guy. So if anyone takes that, I understand. But this is just more of a feeling of Marvin's talent level, and I feel like, you know, he is getting better. It's tough to play him at that chalk because, you know, we don't have any facts against him at this level of competition. But I thought he was on his way to dismantling Jacare personally, and I think he's gonna beat Jack Hermansson, man. I think this is a tougher fight than Kevin Holland, and I feel like Jack should have stayed home, man. But hey, props to Jack. He's a gangster. And, you know, he took the fight, but I just feel like this is a bad matchup, man. I really do feel like he's going to struggle getting Marvin Vettori down. And I know Roberson got on top of him briefly, but I feel like Roberson, you know, not saying that he's better than Jack, but just a little stronger. You know, I feel like we'll see, man. But I'm going to go with Marvin Vettori, man. It's gonna be a good fight. It's gonna be a good fight.
So, man, I'm actually going to go on the opposite side here. I'm going to take Jack Hermansson. Look, I agree with you. Marvin Vettori's been making a lot of improvements, and he's definitely got a presence in there, man. He's kind of got a little bit of that bully style. He's got that, you know, that good kick from the southpaw stance. He's been training at King's MMA. He's been getting better. So I respect his improvements a lot. But I still feel like to this day, he's got a lot of unnecessary rub or hype just based on the fact that he went to a quote-unquote split decision with Israel Adesanya, where we all know that shit was no split decision. And also, that's not championship version Israel Adesanya. That's Israel one fight removed from getting taken down by Rob Wilkinson a couple times. So I feel like that's some unnecessary hype he gets. Now, look, this could be a letdown spot because I agree with you. The Kevin Holland fight, as much as I love Kevin Holland doesn't really defend takedowns, so Jack had a clear path there. But, man, I feel like Jack can win this one too, even if it's standing. The reason I say that is because I feel like he's got more volume than a guy like Marvin Vettori. If you watch that fight against Jacare Souza, so firstly, one doesn't simply, you know, have submission attempts against a guy like Jacare. And often we don't even care about submission attempts. We care about completed submissions. But the fact that he was even attempting submissions against a guy like Jacare, that speaks volumes. And he blast double Jacare. And the most impressive thing to me was, you know how he kind of slowed down in that third round. But in that fourth and fifth round, he picked up the volume. He actually landed more strikes in the fourth and fifth than he did in the first and third. So I was very impressed with that performance by Jack Hermansson. He knows what it's like to be a 5-round main event fighter. And if this was Paulo Costa or Robert Whittaker filling in, then I would be picking against Jack, because those are the kind of guys that are going to give him issues, guys that can stuff his takedown and, you know, put the hands on him and knock him out. I don't feel like Marvin Vettori has that power to punk Jack out. Now, I might be wrong, because Jack, he's one of these mental cases where, look, I applaud him for being brave enough to, you know, come out and admit that kind of stuff, but the reality is that sometimes, you know, he doesn't want to be there. If he doesn't want to be there Saturday, Marvin could have a victory. But if Jack shows up, man, I feel like he can kind of outclass him a little bit, mix in takedowns. And I mean, we saw Carl Roberson not only get on top, but have a submission attempt. I feel like if Jack gets in similar spots, he can close the show. So I'm going to go with Jack the Joker Hermansson. I was actually kind of surprised that he was an underdog in this spot. I felt like he should have been at least a slight favorite here, just based off the competition and all things included. You know, I don't think, you know, I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and discredit Marvin's wins. I mean, but like Andrew Sanchez is not even a top 30 guy. You know, Carl Roberson, like, come on now. So how many times have we seen Carl Roberson get submitted? So this is a step up for Marvin Vettori. hopefully Jack comes out here and handles biz, because I'm going with Jack to get the upset. So my pick is Jack Hermansson. Now, Shaq, we got to talk about the fight to watch and the fighter to watch. So what is the fight to watch for UFC Vegas
Jimmy
16?
Flick versus Durden, man. You know, the flyweights, in my opinion, might be the most exciting weight class in the UFC. So, you know, I feel like we got another, you know, entertaining scrap on the horizons. These two are, I don't want to say unknown, but, you know, they're trying to get their name into the mix in that flyweight division, you know. And, I mean, flyweight's wide open right now, you know, after, you know, my boy Deus has to unfortunately dismantle Assassin Baby. You know who's next is wide open. You got Garbrandt. You got Garbrandt wants this knockout loss so bad. I don't know why, but hey, you know, to each his own. He gets one win and all of a sudden he's back against like a fucking 38-year-old. But like fucking. But then, you know, everyone else, man, at flyweight, man, just think of all the up and coming guys you got. You got Askarov's, you know, fighting Benavidez. I like the kid Dvorak, you know, Flick and Durden, Roy Val. I mean, man, there's some other guys in there too, man. So
Paiva,
Albazi, you know, all these guys. So, you know, I feel like that division, man, Tyson Nam, I mean, bro, that division is doing so good now. No offense to DJ, one of the all-time greats. But, man, that division is super fun now.
Yeah, it's great to see the flyweight division flourishing once and for all, or once again, rather. For me, my fight to watch is John Allan versus Roman Dolidze. I don't see any way how this fight can be boring. I think that these two, they're either going to stand and trade until one man falls, or you might see some nice transitions on the mat. But either way, I think there's going to be some violence in that fight. So for that reason, Dolidze versus Allan is my fight to watch. Well, Shaq, who is your fighter to watch?
My fighter to watch, man, that's a good question. I'm gonna say it's gonna be in that main event, man. I feel like Marvin Vettori is my fighter to watch. I feel like he's fighting for the fighting future of the country of Italy, man. I mean, I know we've been known to say in the past that these Italians can't fight. Now, you know, I mean, look, just look at the history. You know, Alessio, he's about to get cut. Carlo Pedersoli got cut. Mary Barella's cut. I mean, who else is Italian? I mean, they have
Luigi Van Germini.
He just came. Who did he just get? He just got a wins, but he's from Brazil, right?
He left Italy. He went to Brazil.
Oh yeah. Hey, that was smart. You know, Marvin left, and I feel like he's fighting for all Italians, man. I mean, this is a huge opportunity. This is what you call a big momentum swing. I mean, Marvin was struggling to get a fight. I mean, I remember when we all saw, you know, Benil having to hold and his wife having to hold Marvin back in hotels, telling him, Marvin, relax. Marvin, don't. Like, you know, he's been claiming that these dudes like Holland and Ian Heinisch and all these guys were, you know, scared to fight him. You know, now he's got an opportunity, main event. I mean, I've always felt like Marvin's always been quite the character. I mean, I know you know that Marvin Roid Rage, you know, those episodes that he likes to have. But, you know, I feel like this is a big opportunity, man. Hermansson's a top 5 guy. And this rivalry kind of goes back to the Euro local scene. So that's he's my fighter to watch. If Marvin Vettori gets a win, I feel like, I don't want to say there's a new star, but, you know, I mean, look at him, man. He's fucking jacked. I mean, the dude's fucking huge. I mean, I feel like they'll start marketing this guy a lot more. And if he beats Hermansson, I mean, who's he going to fight next? I mean, I know his teammate Gaslam's up there. You know, between you and me, Gaslam, man, ain't gonna be back up in their rankings no time soon. But, you know, but man, I mean,
Gaslam's fighting Heinisch.
You know who I got, but you know, but yeah, I think that he's my fighter to watch, man. Marvin Vettori is fighting for all the Italians, MMA fighters, future MMA fighters out there. So, you know, Marvin's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders.
My fighter to watch is Jamahal Sweet Dreams Hill. Like I told you, all these light heavyweight prospects have had to take their first L, and the only one that hasn't so far is Jamahal Hill, and I feel like he stands out from the pack, and OSP is the perfect litmus test to find out exactly where Jamahal stands in the division right now, and I just feel like this kid brings something different to the table. Like I said, he's got the output to land over 100 strikes in 15 minutes, but he can also knock guys out. He can get up from the takedowns. He's got the size. He's got the reach. I'm very excited about seeing what Jamahal Hill does. So for that reason, he is my fighter to watch. Well, Shaq, we did it. It's going down this Saturday night in Las Vegas, UFC Vegas 16, Hermansson versus Vettori. They can follow you at MMA Genius 05. They can follow me at Best Fight Picks. They can get our plays at bestfightpicks.com. Make sure y'all hit up our sponsor, Manscaped, at manscaped.com. Use that promo code BATTLE20 for 20% off and free shipping. We truly appreciate all your support. Make sure you subscribe to Half the Battle on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, Spotify, all the places where we are available. We'll be back next week. Thank you once again. And until the next time, let's cash these bets.